Some of the founders had just built another technology company, at the time, the world's leading social network for college students. Only a few days after the company filed to become publicly traded, the stock market began its steep decline, its largest percentage drop since the Great Depression. Perhaps it was one of the worst moments in modern times to start a technology project, as pessimism was widespread. But many of the great success stories in history were started when optimism was in short supply. The founders set out to research what the world's biggest problems were that perhaps their experience could help solve. They quickly learned that nearly half the world's population lives on $2 or less per day, and that the problem was not improving. But more importantly, their research uncovered a two-way relationship between poverty and democracy, where poverty causes democracies to fail, and a lack of democracy creates poverty. They call this the poverty loop.
If you look at the history of democracies, you'll find that where the average citizen's income is less than $4 per day, democracies only last for an average of 10 years before failing back into a non-democratic state. But at average incomes of $25 a day, democracies become resilient. In fact, 34 democracies have existed where average incomes were above $25 a day, and not one has failed.
We concluded that eradicating poverty and constructing democracy are like the chicken or the egg. It's very difficult to have one without the other. To break the poverty loop within a single generation, you almost need to magically eradicate poverty and establish a functional democracy simultaneously.
We set out to develop a web-based economy that could help people earn more than $25 per day, while at the same time actually deliver democracy over the wire, and do that in a social environment designed to foster relationships between people who have and people who still need basic earning skills. Our approach to breaking the poverty loop is a democratic social economy. That became our target.
To hit its target, every startup faces a maze of obstacles. But this team had two additional major challenges that they would need to overcome in their first phase. The first challenge was to build the operation and all the technologies using no outside capital. To create a successful global social network, typically tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars are raised from investors to fund the building of its products and services.
To enable democracy, it was important to not raise money from investors. We wanted the company to be controlled by all the people it serves, not just the shareholders. So we set out to build this company starting with no, and I mean zero capital. There's a well-known saying, it takes money to make money. So many people thought we were crazy to attempt this.
We all share this belief that you can accomplish anything you dream up if you just don't quit along the way. We call this concept W-Tata. The idea is that when you set a goal, the more you believe in it with passion, the more people, events, situations, and circumstances will show up along the way to help you achieve it.
With no money to rent an office, we got started in Mike's apartment. We each took over a separate section of the apartment and got to work. Every morning and every afternoon we huddled and shared what we had accomplished. And then we went back to our desks and got to work.
News about this project spread around the San Diego community and up the California coast to Los Angeles and Silicon Valley. Many people were inspired by what this small group of entrepreneurs were attempting to accomplish. Some even packed their bags and took off for San Diego, quitting their well-paying jobs to join the effort for no pay, but a chance to change the world. They left companies like Yahoo, Pricewaterhouse, Microsoft, Creative Labs, Genentech, Google, and Qualcomm. There were dozens of desks spread all over the apartment. Working conditions were less than ideal. There was no meeting room, so meetings often happened on the beach. If they were interviewing someone to join the team, it happened in the outside stairwell, and they hoped it didn't rain. The apartment couldn't hold more than 35 desks, and the last person to join the team placed a piece of glass over the sink in the restroom.
We worked really hard, and we loved it. because we had a real shot at helping millions of people improve their lives. I mean, who gets that type of opportunity?
The team worked for years without pay, but eventually, the company had revenues, and everyone earned their first $100 bill.
That day was a big deal. It was important because it hinted that we might not only survive, but also actually achieve our mission.
The second challenge was to enable people to pay for things over the web. In an economy, for people to be able to sell things, by definition, others would need to be able to buy things. But the majority of the world was cash and carry. Most people didn't have credit cards or any other electronic way to pay for things. To accomplish their mission, the team needed to invent a way for people everywhere in the world to be able to pay for things over the web.
Most web users didn't have credit cards, but they had mobile phones. If we could convince phone companies to allow our software to connect to their billing systems, then mobile phones could function as if they were credit cards. People could simply use their 10-digit phone numbers to buy things, and their purchases would show up on their phone bill.
But how does a penniless startup convince a multi-billion-dollar phone company to give them access to their highly protected and proprietary billing systems? The team met with all the mobile phone companies in the United States, but their proposals were universally rejected. Not easily deterred, they mapped out a plan to take their idea to phone companies outside the United States. Armed with their spirit of W-Tata, they were off to meet with phone companies in Asia and Europe, South America, and Africa. But they came back from their trips empty-handed. Over a 3-year period, the team visited hundreds of mobile phone companies in over 100 countries. Their proposals were rejected by them all.
We were devastated and running on fumes. We had no personal income, and all that travel was expensed on our personal credit cards. Hope was becoming harder and harder to muster up.
Brandy just wouldn't give up. She kept at it and finally convinced the South African phone company, MTN, to partner with us and allow us to send text messages through their network.
This partnership enabled SMS.ac users to send free text messages from the web to mobile phones anywhere in the world. Consumers responded favorably to the SMS.ac product launch. On average, every person that tried it told 2 other people. The momentum was building. Phone companies could no longer ignore SMS.ac and its growing user base. One after another, they agreed to connect their billing systems into the SMS.ac platform. Gradually, the team's mood transformed from grim and challenged to renewed optimism. They moved out of the apartment and into a real office. As the months went by, their vision of bringing a web-based democratic social economy to the world was looking more and more attainable. In the 6 months following its launch, 6 million mobile phone users registered on SMS.ac, setting a new world record for the fastest customer ramp of any product in history, smashing previous records held by Hotmail and Napster. Armed with nothing but the will to succeed and a mission greater than themselves, the team had persevered, and now they were on their way. But the good mood didn't last.
About 1% of subscribers were calling their mobile phone companies to complain about charges on their phone bills. 1% may not seem like a lot, but when you're talking about millions of users, 1% of a million is 10,000 upset customers.
We really messed up that one. I remember getting a phone call from the president of a Malaysian phone company swearing his own son had received an unauthorized charge. Within hours, I found myself on a flight to Malaysia. When we determined his son's girlfriend had borrowed his phone to sign up for services, I was already on another flight to Australia to work through a similar issue, followed by Cairo, then Jakarta, and Stockholm. This went on for days, then weeks, then months. It seemed like our world was falling apart.
The small team couldn't keep up with the education the global market needed. It's great to invent things and be first to a market, But then you've got the responsibility of educating the entire global market on your own, whether you have the resources to or not. Despite the harsh reality they found themselves in, the team hung in there and kept educating. Over a 3-year period, the SMS.ac crew booked millions of miles in air travel, educating disparate sections of societies around the world about their vision for mobile data, operational details, and realities on the ground. Slowly, SMS.ac emerged from public enemy number one to the company that governments reached out to make sense of how to regulate the new and explosive mobile data industry. SMS.ac used all its experience to author the Mobile Consumer Bill of Rights. It was adopted by the Government Communications Regulatory Agency of virtually every country in the world. Ultimately, 400 mobile phone companies in over 100 countries plugged into the SMS.ac payment platform, rendering it the largest micropayment system in the world, enabling billions of people to pay for things using just their mobile phone numbers. The engineering effort of integrating the billing systems of the world's mobile phone companies was colossal, said to be the largest such undertaking since Microsoft completed its massive Windows 95 project. Since each phone company utilized unique billing software, different currencies, and enforced moving requirements amidst a rapidly evolving regulatory landscape, hundreds of computer scientists and engineers worked in tight coordination to successfully complete the enormous feat. The United States government recently recognized the SMS.ac team, awarding them the official patent for inventing payments over mobile phones and igniting the mobile data industry. The SMS.ac platform generated billions of dollars for phone companies around the world, helping to persuade them to reshape the smartphone industry and enable the iPhone and Android mobile platforms. In the 7-year SMS.ac phase, the team enabled billions of people to make payments over the web, and they accomplished that without accepting any investor capital, working for little or no pay. Also, the platform could ultimately be controlled democratically by the users. With their global payment system in place and free from the control and profit needs of Wall Street, the team turned their focus to the design and development of the rest of the platform. In Phase 2, where they would encounter their greatest challenges, victories, and defeats yet.